Kevin Hart appears on another show, still explaining what went on with the roast. And I guess at one point, he apparently says that some fans are blaming him for the Tony Hinchcliffe joke. I think it's ridiculous to blame a man for a joke he didn't tell. I also think that, and I've said before, I don't think that comedians should apologize for jokes. I think that that is a artistic expression, and I think, like I said before, that every single joke has a victim. Having said that, the question to me is not, and I've heard so often, why is it that we're still, after 2 weeks, we're talking about a George Floyd joke? My question is, why is it after 6 years you continue to tell them? And especially when being asked a question like that, why this joke has...
Kevin Hart is just continue to keep getting canceled. I don't know why he's still talking about this Tony Hinchcliffe roast when they brought up George Floyd. I think that he should just be quiet and just go back to keep doing what he was doing. But he did an interview with Entertainment Tonight and whatnot, and they was asking him questions about the roast. And he's still speaking on it. Now, he's come under fire from D.L. Hughley, Dame Dash. So many industry people now have come after him for allowing this to happen. Now, my thing is this: it's a roast, right? But I think that it's some things. It's like, no, we're not going to do that, because we know how the country felt about that when it happened, especially when we was on a lockdown, right? And we watched this man sit on his knee, and you got a bunch of phony black conservatives coming out saying that he was unalive from a fentanyl overdose, which we know was bull crap. But those people are paid to say that. But he's in his interview and he's still saying the same thing, and people are still coming after him.
Were you surprised by people's reaction?
From the roast?
Yeah.
Not from the people that aren't aware of what a roast is, right? Like,
I mean, the general public.
I'm not surprised, but you here's where we're like falling into a weird space. Okay? The roast isn't a new format of comedy.
At all.
The roast and roasting is a specific format that has existed for years.
Forever.
Right? Roasts are meant to be brutal. It is a style of comedy. It is hard-hitting jokes that also have shock factor potential.
The black community is so proud of you right now. George Floyd is looking up at us all, laughing so hard that he can't breathe.
People should be upset, like the George Floyd jokes.
I can say that some jokes weren't in the best taste. It was some that I wouldn't tell. Mm-hmm. Not my style, not what I would do, but some people are looking for that.
Right.
They're looking for that.
Well, let me say this. I talked to Cheryl. I think that those jokes about her husband, they hurt her feelings a little bit.
Her husband committed suicide 3 years into their marriage. I've been sitting next to her for 2 hours and I have to ask, how did he last that long?
I think a lot of people were taken aback by that joke.
You should be. It's in poor taste, but that's how they roast now. I didn't know exactly what they were going to say. If you're going to go against my husband taking his life, let's talk about mental health.
So the jokes attached to Cheryl's husband and him passing, from my understanding, there were conversations with Cheryl, and Cheryl said, no, you're fine. Like, by the way, not my business. I don't know if it did or didn't, but from my understanding, it did. From my understanding, Cheryl was okay because a call was made. At the roast, okay, jokes get said. All right, oohs and ahs.
But this is why I tell you guys, don't be beholden to these athletes and entertainers. A lot of these people are broke. Now, Kevin Hart, to me, is not broke. He's the guy that has money. But he may be in some trouble. They may have some video of him. They may have something on him to the point where they say, hey, we're going to humiliate you, man. You want to still stay in the whip? We're going to humiliate you. Cheryl, the same thing, because I don't know why you would allow this, because we're hearing that they took jokes off. Kevin Hart had 18 jokes took off. They even took off some jokes in regards to the president, right? So we know that there was stuff took off. But with this, and Cheryl talking about her unalive husband who committed suicide, to me, if you signed on for this, then you got to be cash strapped financially. Like, you got to be going through some financial stuff to allow something like that to happen, right? So this whole thing is just goofy.
In this particular case, Kevin, he kept bragging on the Breakfast Club about how it was his production, right? That means he got to make decisions. There have been any number of roasts prior to this, whether it was the one about Donald Trump, whether it was the one with Joan Rivers, all of these people, including Tom Brady, said, these people are off limits. We don't like these jokes. Let's cut them. Just like Kevin did. There were a lot of jokes that were cut, including some regarding Tony Hinchcliffe himself and the military and vets. They listened to it. And all of them passed the sniff test. Well, not all of them, but George Floyd. And George Floyd represents so much to this country. The world basically stopped.
Right.
So you have a lot of people who are still suffering from anxiety, from trauma, especially the family. So for Kevin to get on that show and talk about it and then be so indignant about, no, I didn't hear the interview. When Lauren said, did you hear the interview that I did with his family member? No, and now I won't listen to it. It was almost as if he was angry about the possibility of something that might have made him feel bad about his.
Now, a lot of people was offended by those interviews, especially when he said, well, I won't watch the George Floyd's family's interview. Because, listen, he doesn't feel like he has to respect any black people. He only got to respect them small hats that, that's in charge of how he make his money. Now, he'll kiss they behind, right? But he knows that he was wrong. He knows that it was wrong when he saw that what jokes was going to be said. He already knew it was wrong. But listen, he don't have to care. But D.L. Hughley said this.
Here's the thing. I said this. I think one of the questions you hear is, why are we, after 2 weeks, still talking about a George Floyd joke? The alternate question to that is, why after 6 years are we still doing them? So I understand that, but I am a performer. I've said any number of things that have been offensive. I don't like what happened. I don't know that I'd have laughed at it. First off, I wouldn't have had somebody that I was that opposed to on a roast, because a roast is the intimate thing. It's about friends and people kind of giving each other a hard time and fucking around. Especially when you knew what he would do and you knew what would happen. The things I come away with, and I said it last week, I don't like that you cut jokes, meaning you were trying to protect people. You aired it in the first iteration, but not the second, because you knew how controversial it would be.
Now, Dame Dash also criticized Kevin Hart. And you know, Dame Dash is known for putting Kevin Hart on. He put him in his first movie. He put some money behind him. Dame Dash helped out a lot of black people that came from the Philadelphia area. He what's the guy, the LGBTQ movie director dude, right? He gave him like $2 million to do his first, $2 or $3 million to do his first movie, right? So Dame made money and then was helping black people do certain things that the dominant society couldn't control. So they really pushed and got Dame out the way. Now, there's a lot of things that Dame says and do that I don't like, but it's also a lot of things that Dame was doing, right, behind the scenes that the dominant society didn't like, so they had to kick him out the whip. So he called out Kevin Hart, and he said this.
That was disrespectful. Kevin's another one I think is broke. You know, I know Jamie Salter very well. His OG was Jeff Heckman. His OG was Jay Goldberg. Jeff Heckman owns Hilco. They only do business if it's in distress, allegedly, from what I remember. Like, when you deal with like a fund, all that matters is what's the criteria to make the fund deploy. And the criteria for Jamie Salter is usually distress. He only does distress. So he has a vegan business that goes out of business, and then all of a sudden he sells his name, and now he has to sit there and and he has to defend this. You know what I mean? And it's embarrassing. Jay and Kevin Hart are embarrassing because I put them where they're at, and then they went to the devil. And this is what happens. It seems like after 20 years, the gig be up. Like, when is like, what would be the things that were said were very disrespectful. Like, I'm a funny guy, but there's certain things in the hood you don't say in certain blocks, like pause. You don't talk about mothers. You don't tell niggas to suck your dick, pause. You just don't play with people that are dead. Like, you don't play with, it's not funny. It's in poor taste. I mean, it might be a certain kind of humor, but I think in this temperature, based on the environment and the accusations, I just wouldn't see somebody volunteering to do that. And I felt like that could potentially destroy any iota of his career, because people were able to tell him the truth to his face. how terrible his movies are, how he'll take $1, and how they could disrespect him while he's there and say it's humor. So if people would have started saying that and all that other shit, would that have been all right? Where is the line drawn? There's humor, but then there's disrespect. And that was a public humiliation for our culture to me. And that's not why I put Kev on. So that was embarrassing to me. And again, I look at him as a literal little brother. Literally. He's little. So I start to feel sorry. I don't understand how, like, even his laugh, oh, like, it was so contrived. You know, you saw certain black people just not laughing. Dave Chappelle would have never let that happen. Cat Williams ripped him. Pause. And he had to say, thank you, sir, may I have another? From what I understood, and it's funny because I was on the plane the morning after it happened, going to see the Don Farrakhan, and it came up on my feed, and I watched and I was like, oh,
So you always had a bunch of comedians calling you out, and me being from Philly, you know, I try to defend you. You know, oh man, they just haters, man. Because I watched Kevin Hart. Let me tell y'all something, man. I'll be 51, right? I remember Kevin Hart back in 97, 98, 99 at the Laugh House, man, grinding from the bottom, right? Him, his brother, all of them, they grinding from the bottom. He's straight from the trenches, man. Make no mistake about it. Kevin from the trenches, right in North Philly, right? Pop was on that. Pop was smoking at work. Mom passed away, unfortunately, man. You know what I mean? You know, years back, right? And Kevin was grinding. I remember. So to see him come from where he came from to get all the way here, right? Man, salute to you, man. But we all wondering, like, man, what the hell happened, bro? You took that ride down Hollywood and Vine? Like, what happened, man? You come from Philly. You come from the trenches. You already know better. What happened, right? You stand for them. When people would say, well, he stand for nothing. A lot of us was like, no, man, that can't be true, man. No, man, a homie ain't do that. Then we see this. Then we see when you getting talked about it, how, like, you just real disrespectful with it. Like, man, man, you done went out to Hollywood and then turned into Holly Weird, man. Right? So Dame Dash is spot on because Dame Dash put you in Paper Soldiers. Dame Dash also put Lee Daniels on, right? Right? So people can say what they want to say about Dame Dash, but when Dame Dash had the money, he was helping black people, right, getting put in positions to become stars. That's a fact. That's a fact. He also helped out Kanye West, right? So it's a lot. That's, you know, it's a lot that go on, man. And this dude, man, he know that them jokes was in poor taste. He know. And let me tell you something. You might not like Dame, but there's a reason why the industry don't like Dame. So what I'm not going to be is a hypocrite. I call out these industry devils and all that kind of stuff. There's a reason why he kicked out the whip. Because of certain things he wanted to do for his own people. Kevin, man, you got the money, right? Or at least it's made to believe you got the money. Why would you even allow something like this to happen? Based off of what you guys say, you don't need the money. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button. Subscribe to Street Media TV. Leave your comments in the comment section. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.